history isn't just what happened, it's who we are. And now you can explore Africa's incredible past like never before. Introducing the new and engaging course catalog from aelearning.net, a world-class provider of interactive e-learning focused on Africa's rich and diverse history. From the rise of ancient Nubia and the power of the Mali Empire, to the architectural wonders of Egypt and the development of astrological knowledge by the Dogon people, each self-paced course brings history to life through stunning visuals, immersive video lessons, and interactive assessments. Designed for students, educators, and lifelong learners around the world, AE Learning's courses make discovering Africa's story easier, deeper, and more engaging than ever. With AE Learning, education meets flexibility. Whether you're a student, teacher, or lifelong learner, our platform gives you access to credible knowledge, rich multimedia lessons, and tools that make learning African history engaging and unforgettable. Join thousands of learners already rediscovering Africa's past and shaping its future. Visit www.aelearning.net today. Start your journey through Africa's past today, because the story of Africa is the story of us all. AE Learning, inspiration through high-quality education.
Danfo offers unparalleled, curated, and bespoke tours across Africa for travelers seeking genuine cultural experiences, enriched with magnificent sights, sounds, and flavors found on the continent. Each trip is reliably curated to ensure visitors are gifted with an immersive and authentic adventure. Whether you find yourself strolling along the charming white sand beaches of Sierra Leone, feasting on the mouth-watering delicious foods in Senegal, observing or partaking in various aspects of the Isheshe traditional system Ifa native to Yoruba land, Nigeria, with Danfo, you will rediscover a fulfilling sense of kinship to the true heart of the motherland, her communities. Our core values focus on integrity, quality, safety, and sustainability. We are uniquely committed to assisting with the advancement of African infrastructure and promoting African businesses, so both travelers and the communities they visit receive beneficial exchanges. At Danfo, we understand the importance of connectivity, and we have created a model which provides bespoke experiences based on your passions or hobbies. With us, expect a long-lasting spiritual bond between you and your destinations. Live, love, Danfo, Africa. To learn more, visit danfo.africa.
Peace, family. We are live again. Dynasty Mirror Search for Huru. Thank you all. Thank you so much for joining. Make sure you hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. Also, make sure you share and make sure you subscribe. We have a special guest coming on, Dr. LaWana Richmond. Hopefully, she comes on soon. We were scheduled to go today at 6 my time, 3 her time. She's on the West Coast, the best coast. You know, I'm from Cali, so I'm from the West Coast. So that's where she's at. But she's not here, but hopefully she clicks the link and comes on shortly. In fact, let me give her a call real quick. Well, at first, let me run through these announcements. Announcement number 1. Oh yeah, a special shout out to it's called Keen, Keen, Keen Water. They're based here in Atlanta. Black owned water, y'all. Black owned water. All right, they were at an event me and my son were at yesterday, put on by the city of Atlanta. It was a golfing event for kids ages 12 through 18 fishing event for kids age 12 through 18. The city of Atlanta put it on. It was cool. We had a good time. We had free food, water, black owned water. This is King Water. They're based here in Atlanta. You know, it's natural alkaline spring water. Now it is kind of expensive, but I'm like, look, the amount of money I spend on frivolous things, I could support some black owned natural alkaline spring water. So, and it's pretty good. It's pretty good. So shout out to them. But like I said, it's kind of expensive, but it is what it is. Black owned water, go support. So yeah, so we're rolling to Senegal next month, May 9th through the 18th. May 9th through the 18th. We got a couple more spots. If you're interested in joining us, please visit Danfo. That's Danfo dot Africa. Again, please visit Danfo. That's Danfo dot Africa. Uh, yeah. Visit Danfo dot Africa to learn more. We'll love to host you. We'll love to host you if you're interested in some good old jazz. It's a mixture from acid jazz to traditional African, like that Malian jazz. It's a mixture, a variety of jazz music. So if you're interested in joining, please visit Danfo.Africa. Again, please visit Danfo.Africa to learn more. We would love to host you guys on one of our experiences. I don't like saying tour. I don't like saying tour. I like saying experience. That's like what that's what I like to say is experience, kind of over the tour label. So if you want to join us, please visit Africa to learn more. And bam, that's the site right there. We're also going to the Oshun Festival. That's August 2nd to the 11th in Nigeria. Uh, we are also doing Accra and Abidjan, November 8th through the 19th. We're doing Sierra Leone. We're doing Zanzibar. So yeah, we're gonna have a great time. We are going to have an excellent time in Africa. If you're interested in joining, please visit Africa to learn more. Without further ado, if guys, give me a second. Let me call Doctor. Uh, check on her, see where she's at, and then we'll get started. Give me one second, you guys. All right, she's coming. She'll be here in about give her 5 minutes. But hopefully everybody's having a good weekend or had an awesome weekend. The weather's kind of bipolar here in Atlanta. So it was hot yesterday. And today is cool. Like it's in the 60s today. And I ain't mad. I am not mad. Yeah, but the weather kind of flipped on us. I was expecting some nice warm weather, but me and my son, we got up this morning, so me and my son, on Sunday mornings we go run. I make his ass run. So we got the belt line. In fact, here comes Dr. LaWana right here. Hey, Doc, look like you grocery shopping. You gotta mute yourself.
Oh, there we go. Okay. Not groceries, but yeah, I'm shopping a little bit.
Okay, all right.
We
Well,
a nonprofit that I work with is having a party, and I ended up running errands for them.
okay. Well, hey, continue to do
Can
the
you hear me?
God's good work. Yeah, we hear you loud and clear. Hear you loud and clear.
Okay.
Yeah. So we're gonna speak on Afrotourism and why it matters right now.
No,
Why it's
just wait.
important.
Okay. Well, I mean, Afrofuturism is about
Afrofuturism. Go ahead.
Afrofuturism is really about, I mean, the simple way is Black futures. To get more complicated, it's the connection between the past, the present, and future, deeply manifested through art, culture, music, but also innovation, science, technology. But the idea, in terms of the way I use it, is to actually use everything we know and have learned from history, what we know about what's happening now, to kind of imagine projections of possible futures and to take action to influence society or our community in a way.
Yeah, I lost you. I think you're back now. Okay, we lost you.
Hello?
Yeah, yeah, I think you're back. Yeah, I lost you. Okay, we lost you again. Now some technical difficulties, you guys. Sorry about that. This water's real good.
Michael. Are
Okay,
you
you're
frozen? Can you
no,
hear
no, no.
me?
We hear you now. You're back now. You were black. Your screen was black for a minute, but you're back now.
Okay. I think it'll be easier when I get outside the store.
Okay. Guys, sorry about once again, sorry about the technical difficulties. And what I'll do, I'll go ahead and put the link in the chat room. If you guys want to add to the convo, you're more than welcome to add to the conversation. Link is in the chat room again. If you want to add to the conversation, you're more than welcome to add to the conversation. Let Dr. LaWana, um, I guess, get situated and settled where she has a good. Okay, we lost her. Hopefully, she'll come back. But guys, links in the chat room. And again, the conversation is Futurism, why it matters right now. And Dr. LaWana she's an expert in this field. And I know she puts on an event every year in San Diego that's centered around Afrofuturism. And I'm all about Afrofuturism. I have no issue with it. It's just I don't want to. I think Black Panther, you know, even though it's a movie. Shout out to O'Shea Duke Jackson, uh, for the 10,000 Ugandan shillings. I appreciate you, O'Shea Duke Jackson. We appreciate you, brother. Um, pan clappy, plan capitalism is what I'm down with. That's what's up, brother. That is what's up, man. We appreciate you, my my brother O'Shea Duke Jackson. Y'all, let me tell you about how good of a dude O'Shea is. So I met O'Shea, I think it was 2008, 17 maybe. O'Shea. We met in 2017 in in Sacramento. So we've been communicating. I was on O'Shea's show. We finally met, and brother O'Shea blessed me with a new microphone. First time I met him, Starbucks off of Broadway in Sacramento. Anybody from Sacramento, that Starbucks on Broadway. And brother hooked me up with a mic. Man, such a good brother. I don't care what people say about O'Shea. Now O'Shea is kind of special because he's from Del Paso Heights, and he went to Grant. So Del Paso Heights and Grant, they known for having high levels of high lead in their water. So O'Shea is a little slow, but it's okay. It's okay. Again, they're known for having high levels of lead in their water in Del Paso Heights. That's why they crazy out there. So O'Shea can't help it that he's a little bit off. It's the lead. It's the lead. He can't help it. But let's get Dr. LaWana back on here, see where she's at. Um, guys, give me 1 second. Let me reach out to her. All right, she's coming back now. Dollar billionaire brand. Thank you for 999. Holla. Yeah, but she's coming back on now here in a second. Appreciate that. All right, here we go. Dr. LaWana, go ahead. You back with us.
I'm back with you and I'm sitting still, so hopefully that
Okay.
helps.
Okay.
Yeah, I just need to turn on some AC. Okay, other than that, in terms of Afrofuturism, in a lot of ways, I feel like it's our best way forward. Um,
Mm-hmm.
as much as I appreciate and respect the efforts involved in the civil rights movement, we're asking other people to give us some rights. Whereas Afrofuturism is, I'm not saying we should stop demanding the things that we should have already had, but I think we should also put energy into doing all the things that we can do for ourselves, and also explore all the possibilities within the globe or beyond, instead of just focusing and putting all our eggs in the basket of these United States.
Okay. Now, so Maya, I'm gonna jump like right into it. So the way
Okay.
Afrofuturism is depicted, like in Black Panther,
Hmm.
like what are your thoughts on that? And then we had like the Afrofuturism that Akon City was supposed to be, I guess. If you're familiar
Yeah.
with that at all, or like what are your thoughts on
Yeah. I
like
am.
just the reality of what
Okay.
Afrofuturism is and what can be built and applied? Like,
I mean, the reality is when you look at most of the technology that is used around the world, the resources required for that technology to run come from the continent, the heart of Africa. And then the
mhm,
actual science behind the technology, a great deal of it was developed by people of the African diaspora. Just recently, we sent a crew of people to the moon, and the
mhm.
person who coordinated that whole mission for NASA was a black woman.
It's black. Was a black, but there was a black man on the plane on the ship too,
There was
right?
a
Or
black man on the plane, and there were black
mm-hmm,
men involved in the engineering and development of the
mm-hmm,
engines and thrusters that were used throughout. In terms of the technology, there was black innovation, but I think it's important to note that that mission was coordinated and led by a black woman,
mm-hmm. But doctor,
which is a
why?
long way from the hidden figures.
Mhm. So then my next question is, why aren't we doing this ourselves in Africa? Like, what's the issue,
Well,
you
I
think?
mean, so part of it is design. I mean, you have to look at history. How many countries in Africa, as soon after they got their liberation, they immediately got neo-liberation or neo-colonialism. And so, they say not all skin folk are kinfolk.
Right.
It's not just good enough to have a black face in the place. You've got to have a black heart and a black mind and a desire for your people to do well. Um, you know, there are some great leaders named on your shirt. And the thing is, when we did have great leaders, they were often assassinated, if not immediately, definitely as soon as it became evident that they were doing things to make a difference. Right now, I'm watching Sahel, and I'm also looking at how the U.S. and the Brits and colonizers are making deals with leaders in nations adjacent to Sahel.
Right. So recently, France made a deal with Ghana as far as a security deal. And then we know U.S. is
Yeah,
making deals here in
security.
Nigeria. Yeah, security deal. Like, yeah, okay. And then
Yeah,
the U.S. is doing more in Nigeria. Um, so what do you think?
I
What do
mean,
you
because
think
what
the motive is
happens?
behind that?
because if the flow of resources that drive the economy, that is at the heart of the AI revolution, which is at the heart of all of our computers and smartphones and watches, and if the flow of those minerals and resources stopped, it could stop the world.
Hmm.
I think that the fact that you have more nations beginning to understand and establish their sovereignty and not want to just be exploited, um, there's a resistance. There have been, you can look for it. There have been discussions of world leaders when they're talking about the future. One of the things that most of the colonial powers agree upon is a strong Africa is a threat to Western civilization.
Correct. Mm. So what's your? I know we're kind of off topic now because the AES is a very
Yeah.
important and interesting topic. How do you think this will play out for the AES in the next 2-3 years? Then we'll get back on topic.
For the next how many years?
We'll say 2, 3. We'll say 3, 4 years. 3, 4 years.
Okay, so, right now is a pivotal time because, all the liberals who were saying, you guys already have everything, can we just chill out, are seeing just how bad it still is because it's easy to ignore the state of colonization
Mhm.
when it's, subtle and it's got a smiling face and it's patting you on the
Mhm.
back as it walks you out the door and separates you from your bloodline or your resources or your legacy. Now it's very overt. I think, for example, they're building these all white towns in the US. And
Right.
my understanding, I haven't visited one, because I'm not going to get an invitation, but
Mhm.
I've been told, my sources say that those towns are failing because they're not capable of supporting themselves. And the funniest thing that I've heard, in alignment with this whole all white town movement is, one of them did an interview and had the audacity to say that if black people don't like it, why don't they build their own towns? As if we hadn't always built our own stuff and they hadn't always come and destroyed it as soon as they found out about it. How many black towns are buried under lakes or in the
Lake
middle of a
Lanier here in
park
Georgia, where I'm
or
at.
under a freeway? Huh?
I said Lake Lanier here in Georgia, where I'm at.
Yeah. And then, you have to look at like all around in California, what they did is they poisoned the wells.
Mm.
That's a quick way to like get rid of people. They did that like in the early 19th century. So, you know, um, I think that, I remember people got mad because I think it was no, it was Malcolm X who said the chickens
Mhm.
are coming home to roost.
Mhm.
The thing, right now, in many ways, it's more equal for us in this country than it's ever been because everybody's getting help.
Mm.
And so I'd
Right.
say in the next 2 or 3 years, a lot of it is going to depend on who takes action and who waits around. Because chaos, which is what we're currently experiencing, is the greatest opportunity for change, growth, and development. Chaos gives birth to great things. The only question is who's going to leverage the chaos more effectively.
Right. Right. Guys, hit that like button again. Please hit that like button. So Black Panther, the way
Mhm.
Afrotourism was portrayed in that movie. How do you feel about? Is that a
Well, I mean, the move.
real? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
I mean, the thing about the film is that it invigorated interest in Afrofuturism. It brought her back.
Oh, we lost you. Okay, you're back now. You're back now.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yeah, we hear you. We lost you at it. It brought
Oh, okay. All right. When
interest
we
in
have more
Afrotourism.
people paying attention, and there were a lot of good things. Like what I really liked about Black Panther was the fusion of culture and technology.
Mm.
So there were places like when the blankets were also shields.
Yeah,
Just
yeah, yeah.
you look at the symbols, you look at even the communication, the fact that in that one place they had so many different languages and tribes and styles, and like the Ruth Carter did her thing in terms of the costume design.
Hmm.
And it was, I think it was a great example. I think it's not the end all be all, and we have to remember that Black Panther is a Marvel property, and so
Right.
we don't own it, and it wasn't written for our our liberation or our upliftment. It was written, as entertainment, right? And even with all of that, like Black Power, the little white
I lost her again. Maybe she's getting a phone call. She gets
can
dropping
you hear
off.
me?
You're back now. You're back now. Go ahead. Okay, where you
Okay.
were back. Okay,
The
you went
the
back off.
little CIA agent had to save the day. So
Right.
even in Black Panther, we had to have a white savior.
Right. Yeah. And then so trying to take that Black Panther motto and make it somewhat real. That's
I don't
kind
know,
of
but
what.
I'm trying to hear you.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me? Can you hear
Can you
me?
hear me?
I hear you. Can you hear me? I hear you fine.
Okay. Let me see if I can fix my sound.
Testing, test, test.
All right.
Can you hear me?
I'm gonna leave and come right back.
Okay. All right. No problem.
Let's see.
All right, guys, hit the like button and please hit that like button. Make sure you share, make sure you subscribe. We'll wait for Dr. LaWana to come right back. And also, I'll put the link in the chat room. Again, I'll put the link in the chat room. Uh, if you guys got uh, any questions, you're free to hop on and add to the conversation. Here we go. She's back.
Okay, can you hear me now?
Here, can you hear me? Yes, I hear you fine.
Okay, I hear you too. All right.
Okay.
Let me see if I can get rid of the do not disturb. Let me try that again. I don't know why people keep calling me. All right. So, I mean, whew, really, the film, was a good start. There are some other films that were made by independent filmmakers, like Underneath by David Kirkwood, that
Hmm.
I would recommend. There's a movie called Fast Color, which is about like a black woman with superpowers. There's some other things that are good examples. And then the other part of it, there's a lot of literature and there's a lot of space to create, content that's going to fill that need. I think part of the reason Black Panther was so successful is that it filled a void because it was like the first thing to really come out since Blade that, centered us.
Now, trying to take that Black Panther model and make it something tangible and real, I think Akon was trying to do. Um,
Right.
what were your thoughts on Akon City when you first heard
So
about it, all the
So when I first heard
drawing?
about it, I was excited. I don't know about the drama. I don't know. I heard about it as a desire and a vision.
Hmm.
I don't know what's happening with the fruition. I haven't heard that it's done, but I also know that you start out with an idea and you move in that direction. Almost inevitably, things are not going to go exactly according to plan. And the
Hmm.
question is, when there is a setback or an obstacle that wasn't anticipated, do you keep going or do you just abandon the project?
Correct. Now, it's something simple today because, we have these conversations. We want to know how can we apply something we could do today to create or be a part of Afrofuturism, or something we could do um, that we can apply now.
Well, I mean, part of it, like simple things, um, is to work on like mindset programming. I do a thing called the Afrofuturism Dream Tank, where I
Hmm.
teach people how to, take the past and the present and project and create visions and identify action items to actually move towards making those visions real.
Okay. Okay. All right, we
So,
got to.
go ahead.
No, no, go. You go ahead. You go ahead.
No, I was just gonna say, so with that, experiential learning is probably the best way to get motion because, I don't think just talking to people works. And I think entertainment is good for like um, planting seeds and getting people to think. But, you have to get people to move beyond, oh, that's really cool, into like, let me do this thing. Because without action, there's not going to really be any movement.
Okay. All right, Africa, Africa, go ahead with your question.
Yeah, basically, it's just mainly like a statement, really. Do you think, like a state like Liberia would be a good point? And do you think it's a shame that, the situation in Liberia ended up where it was, where it ended up in a war? Because I think all this stuff that we're talking about, like Akon City, Liberia would have been a perfect place for that, uh, footprint to start on the continent where we can build, these sort of things that she's actually talking about, where we can actually have, the mindset of the African Americans or the black people in the diaspora, and also the institutions that will actually form these sort of things, and also the mindset. I think the mindset is very important. So, do you think we need a new country in Africa to actually achieve this, or do you think we should actually, you know, um, use a country that's already have a similar, like a good model, doctor?
So, are you familiar with the African Union? So now we have the sixth region, right? And the chair of the sixth region is actually a friend of mine. And in terms of um, having another country, I think, I've kind of been following the Afropolitan motion because I
Okay.
think they have the right idea in terms of virtual nation that includes the diaspora with its own passport and currency, which at this point could be digital. I think some of it is, figuring out how we can get together to like one, get some agreement and understanding on like what our non-negotiables are and how we're going to work together, but two, to figure out who's like actually gonna do the work and who's just gonna wait for it to be done. Like, I don't know if you remember that story for little children, a little red hen, where the hen was like, "Who's gonna help me plant the seeds?" And nobody helped her. Who's gonna help me water them and take care of them and harvest them and mill the wheat and make the bread? But as soon as the bread was ready, everybody showed up to eat. And I think that
Yeah.
is unfortunately, that's human nature. So I
Right.
think, having a vision, we're never going to get 100% consensus, but we get enough of a critical mass, then you get motion. I mean, the big problem is we have a tendency to broadcast our plans, which makes it really easy for anyone who is in a position of power to subvert them because let's not pretend like the idea of a free African nation or just liberated black people is new. It's not like there aren't
Mm.
people who have been doing this work for centuries, and there are models that we can follow, and there are lessons to be learned from different revolutions and leadership arcs on the continent, as well as in the Caribbean and in the U.S. And then looking at, what has been the undoing of most revolutionary movements, it's been, internal strife.
Right. Yeah. Do you, if you, I don't know if you do history, but if you have to model an empire that we had in the continent in the past, which one would you, model this futuristic plan with? Like, for example, the Mali, the Songhai, the Benin, even the Egyptian dynasties. Which one would you
I
model
mean,
that with?
I mean, it's tough because no matter what model you look at, there's going to be some
Right.
things that aren't really that aren't necessarily logical at this time. But I think it's more of you know, I definitely like the idea of empire building. I like the idea of balanced. I'm kind of a fan of Kemet and Mayat, but at the same time,
Mm,
you know, we've got to look at who we are, what we're working with. I think we should start with like value structures, you know,
mm,
and there are a lot of different value systems that already exist that, you know, if you follow those, you know, if you start with your values, then you can get motion, because a part of the problem that's been the downfall of most like nation building efforts is that it's been more around um, material things like buildings and resources, which are very, very important things. But I think if you get the values part down, and I'm not talking about religion, then when you do have those resources, you've already got a method for like conflict management and resource sharing allocation and labor, who's going to do the work. Because, you know, yeah, it's great to go and like get land and get resources, but then the real work is what you do after you have those things to work with. And I'm sorry I couldn't like point to a specific empire, but I have to honestly say that there isn't one that I think was perfect. I think there's challenges everywhere.
fair enough. That's a very good, honest answer. Yeah, I mean, yeah. So would you, yeah, someone was in the on the comment section is saying this be just Africa or the entire black uh, diaspora, including Africa?
Um, can you repeat that question?
Yeah, someone in the comment section is asking whether it's going to be then just for Africa or the entire black diaspora, including the Africans.
So I'm going to say, as a person who's part of the diaspora, I would not want to exclude myself from my family. So I think it
Yeah,
would be beneficial to me if it's the diaspora. And I also think that when we look at like the pieces of the puzzle in terms of skills and technology, we're going to need people from everywhere, because,
yeah,
you know, one of the reasons that, you know, some of those towns they're starting these days are failing is they don't have like all the skill sets they need.
all right. Yeah, I mean that makes sense to be honest. I mean it's true what you said earlier. We have been exploited in different ways. Our
Yeah.
minds have been exploited. Our mineral resources have been exploited. Even our culture has been exploited. Our
Absolutely.
history has been, yeah. So it's about time we preserve these things. And do less with religion, do more with practical things. And start building something that is exclusively, to us, to our identity, to our DNA, and for self-preservation. Yeah, Mr. Sandman,
Well,
I
you know,
can
they
hear you.
say that rising tide lifts all ships.
Sorry, ma.
They say that rising tide lifts all ships. So when we are
Yeah,
free and we are thriving, everybody in the world
right.
will be free and thriving, because we're not trying to go colonize. We're not trying to
No,
oppress. We're trying to lift and eliminate oppression, and I think that benefits people all over the world, especially indigenous people all over the world.
right.
And
I
so,
totally agree.
yeah, and so, you know, it's kind of like I
Dr. LaWana, we lost you. Now, make sure you hit the like button. Links in the chat room if you want to call in and add to the convo. Okay, we can't hear you, Dr. LaWana. We can't hear you. Yeah, we lost her. She'll come back on, you guys.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, Diana, this is a very, very important topic, man, and I think this is the topic that we should be having on a regular basis.
Mm-hmm.
This is more solution topic than problems, because we've been talking about the problems throughout, didn't we? So yeah, also can expand
uh,
minds. This is more
hello.
important.
Yeah, we hear you, Dr.
Yeah, yeah.
LaWana. Go ahead.
All right, sorry about this. So I mean, ultimately, I'm a believer that we really have everything we need. We just, it's all scattered about. So a big part of that is, instead of like trying to figure out who to exclude, we want to make sure that we cast a big enough net that we gather all those resources. And our greatest asset, of course, is our human resources.
Right. And also, do you think we should have like a certain type of website and that will actually help the Africans, government, for example, or the African companies to link with African Americans or Africans
I mean,
in
I
the
can see what you're
diaspora?
saying, but I think
Yeah. Hmm.
the place to start, everything is support the resources that already exist. Every time we start a new organization, a new resource, or a new
Right.
approach, we're actually scattering ourselves further.
Hmm. That's true. I think Mr. Stanman want to ask a question. I'll just,
Right, go ahead, Sam, man.
Hello, hi, can you hear me?
Yeah, go ahead, Sam, man. We hear
yeah,
you.
we can hear you.
Oh, okay, thanks. Yeah, I just wanted to ask the doctor in terms of the outlook of Afrofuturism. We know that a lot of times when we're talking about these vast economic endeavors when it comes to technology and moving forward with it, a lot of the brainiacs or the tech geniuses behind the situation aren't necessarily the people with the capital to push the initiative. Uh, what do you think the people, the investors, what is holding them back from pushing forward with investing in these futuristic endeavors in Africa? And who are those people, and what is their bottom line? Do they think that there is a return on investment ROI in Africa? Is that what's holding them back, or is there other like extenuating circumstances that's keeping them
Hey,
from wanting to
Sam,
push
man,
this endeavor?
Sam, man. Ask your question again because we had lost Dr. LaWana. Go ahead and Dr. LaWana, are you with us?
Hello?
I am.
Okay, so go ahead and ask your question again, Sam, man. Sam, man. Sam, man. I think we lost him too. Guys,
Oh,
links in the chat room. Links in the chat room. If you guys want to call in and ask Dr. LaWana a question, you're more than welcome to. But Sandman had a question, but we had lost you. Then we just lost Sandman. So, um,
I love
let's
technology.
right. So, guys, go ahead, Afro.
Yeah, I mean, like because a lot of our leaders, I was looking at, for example, the president, the government in Guinea, who are currently involved in a lot of infrastructural development. They're looking out. They have a very good Pan African mindset in that country, and there was something that he's trying to get, and he was looking around. He was going to outsource this contract to a foreign company. Then he did not realize that local you know, uh, people from in that country that actually know how to do it, and they present themselves,
Okay.
and yeah, and it just to do it for less money, more more advanced and everything. It's just shocking because we lose so much income. The African government outsource so many of these contracts to foreign companies, while we actually have the local talent that can do it. This is a way to. I think we should. This way forward, I think. So, do you think we should actually, again, do you think a website or some kind of organization, is necessary for these things to come together? That's a lot.
So for me, the thing is, I really believe that we even have the resources. We just have to have the accord, because there are already global African trade organizations led by Black people that are working. I'm a part of like a consortium out of Charlotte, and I mean, it's really, I guess for me, it's hard because I travel and I talk to people all over the world. and we're already doing the things. We just need to elevate and connect to the things that are already happening. One of our challenges is we always want to like, this person over here has a program for children. Instead of me helping them support the children and build capacity, I'm going to go start an organization over here that does the exact same thing. And then somebody else, they're going to do the same thing. And we do that all over the country. And that's just one example. So I
All right,
think
go ahead,
it's
Sam,
like
man.
identifying the what, and then, being before starting something new, be really sure that there's not already somebody doing it. And, I know sometimes you can reach out to someone who's doing something and they don't want your help or they want to just do it themselves. But, our efforts would be so much more powerful, or will be so much more powerful when we actually come together and work with each other.
Hi, I don't know if the doctor got an opportunity to hear what I had said earlier.
No, no,
Did
Sam,
you?
man. What I was saying, you got to start over because we lost her and we lost you, so you got to start over.
Oh, okay. Yeah. Hi, doctor. My initial question was, a lot of times when you have these huge economic endeavors like what you're talking about in Afrofuturism, a lot of times the players with the capital behind it aren't necessarily the brainiacs or the tech experienced people that know how to push it, and their bottom line is just basically how profitable it is for them to get behind it. Could you give us any insight on who are these individuals with the capital behind these futuristic endeavors, and what would be keeping them from pushing forward with these economic endeavors to futurize Africa, and
So I'm
is
gonna
it
say.
profitable?
So where are you based? Where are you calling from?
I'm located in New Jersey, United States.
Okay. So have you been to Africa?
I have not been to Africa. I'm
No,
a
so no, I'm not
military
asking this
person.
to be I'm not asking this to be like any kind of way. I just want context, because I'll say like when I went to Dakar, and I'm gonna admit ignorance, that's the only place I've been. But when I was there, there's a lot of development, and then at the same time, there's a lot of work that needs to be done. And yes, capital is needed, but also, whatever's going to be done has to be done respectfully. So I think before like we show up and say here's a bucket load of money and this is what we're going to do, we've got to build relationships and have communication and get some agreement on what it is exactly that's going to happen. Because the approach that we sometimes take without meaning to is quite similar to the that of a colonizer.
Oh, okay, I understand. So you're saying that building a relationship with the people that live there first is the most important to get things rolling. Um,
Well,
how
first of
long
all,
would you?
first, I mean, just to be fair, I mean, it's not just about getting in relationship to get things rolling. I mean, to be sincere and understand where people are, because we're not trying to bulldoze people. I mean, like, that'd be like I come to your crib and I'm like, wow, this would be great as a skyrise. But that's your crib. You might not want to live in a skyrise, right? And it don't
Yeah,
matter how much
yeah,
money I have. If I come and say no, we're gonna put a skyrise here. First of all, I don't have the authority because that's your land. But even if I came in and could get eminent domain, that would not make you have buy-in. It wouldn't make you happy to see me.
yeah. That's
So
understood. But
right,
like
so it's not. So I guess the thing that I want you to really hear is before we come with an agenda and a plan, we need to listen.
what are we listening for?
Well, first of all, we want to find out, where people are and what's already in progress, and what the desires, priorities, and needs are of the people that are already there. I mean,
What are their desires?
so I'm not going to speak for them. I'm just trying to help you understand that development, especially Yes, Africa is a great place to develop. I'm not discouraging it. I think it's a great idea. I encourage it. The only thing I also encourage is to do it respectfully and to show up ready to build something without talking to the people who live there about what you're building. I mean, you might want to build something that could be really useful, but where you think it makes sense for it to be might be some sacred space.
What area in Africa, in West Africa, or any area in Africa, do you think the people in that area will be open to development of
Um,
Afrofuturism?
so All right, so the development of Afrofuturism is growing and taking hold. We actually have chapters of the Black speculative arts movement in different countries on the continent of Africa already. But, when you talk about building Afrofuturism, I'm going to assume you mean building for the future. And when you talk about building for the future, the question that I have for you is what's your approach? Because again, I focus on co-created futures because yeah, I could just come in and say, "Hey, this is what I think we should do," and that's not to say I don't think I have good ideas. I just think that's a very imperialist approach.
Okay. Yeah, I mean, there's people who specialize in negotiations and working with other people, and there's other people that negotiate that specialize in actually getting the job done. And if that's your expertise, then you would let those people who specialize in negotiations work with the people to talk to them and come up, iron out a plan for the future. I was just wondering, like, for the people that might be interested in investing
So
and
currently,
or getting stuff moving.
Ghana is very open to investment and development, and probably a pretty stable place. I think Senegal is a place, just from my experience being there, that has opportunity. Um, and again, it starts with like identifying like who to work with, and you have to um, for me, it's because I have friends that live in those places. It's a little different. I have friends that have compounds in Tanzania. There's a lot of things that can be done. Um, East and West Africa are both, beautiful places that offer a great deal of opportunity. I just, and I'm not anti people making money. I just think that when we're talking about an Afrofuturist lens and looking at building a future that is actually good and sustainable for Black people, we have to start with talking to each other. I mean, otherwise, what's going to happen is you're going to start a project with that, and it might even be something that people would like. But if you don't talk to them first, they're not going to care. In terms of places, there's opportunity all over the place. I think right now the thing to look at is stability in terms of political, economic, and social stability, so that you're more likely to be able to get the supplies that you need and have the infrastructure support that you need in order to build more infrastructure. If you're looking at creating infrastructure, of course, it's always good to start from the coast end. But again, it starts with those conversations. And I am not saying that I'm an expert in the conversations. I'm just saying that from an organizational development, cultural development, nation building standpoint, um, you know how, like they say, a good carpenter measures twice and cuts once? Because sometimes if you don't measure before you cut, you've put major cut in a place where you don't have enough length or width to do what it is you actually want to do.
Oh, okay, understood. Is your PhD in the technology field?
So my master's is in information systems, but my doctorate is in educational leadership, and it's actually an EDD. It's a doctorate of education. So it's more about an applied practitioner approach.
Oh, okay, understood.
Yeah, I mean, it's funny you mentioned medical sector. I mean, Senegal just they just opened a company, Clinic Pasteur in Guinea,
Hmm.
which is which is for the first time. Is around this sort of field, I think, where I think where medicine and technology is actually involved. Well, for me, another question: do you think this should be more like a private sector initiative, or it should be governmental initiative mixed with private sector?
All right. I didn't hear the question.
Sorry, do you think this would be more better off being a government initiative or private or kind of mix? Which one do you think is the
I
best way
think
forward?
mix would be good, but I also think it just depends on the nation and who's in leadership. Do we have an
Uh,
amount? These are the wrong ones. You wanted the 8 ounce. Want the small ones? All right. Hello. Yeah. What did the picture say? I think they wanted 2 cases. Yeah. All right. Hello. Sorry about that.
that's all right.
I think he wanted 2 cases. Yeah. Yeah. All right. Hello.
Yeah, yeah.
So I'm sorry. Can you repeat the question?
No, that's fine. I mean, yeah, you said you think it's mixed, isn't it? Like whether it should be both private and government initiative. You think?
So, all right. Try that one more time.
Yeah, sorry. Do you think this should be a government, a private sector or public sector initiative? Public sector in that means government or private. What you said is actually better off if it's government and private sector mixed together.
Yeah.
You know
But I
where
think
hmm,
so. Here's what I think. I think that like you're getting really like into the weeds and getting really granular for like hypothetical situation because it's going to depend on the country, what's happening there, what the government is like, and who the potential partners are. I mean, because
yes,
part
you
of it
said
is
that.
who wants to come to the table, and then you have to evaluate who wants to come to the table and what the pros and cons are of them being there.
Okay. I mean that's fair enough. Absolutely. I
And
think we got
Can you
another
get the
guest.
ice
hold
too?
on, let me pass the
All
mic to
right,
Ubuntu King. Go and ask your question, Ubuntu King.
all right.
Ubuntu King, you gotta unmute yourself.
I did. Am I? Can you hear me now?
We hear you now.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah. How you doing, Dinus and Dr. LaWana? I'm very interested in what you're saying about Afrofuturism. In fact, my channel, the African Ubuntu Network, is basically about that, and I believe that I use AI to create African futuristic cities and situations. And one of the things that I feel is that anything that we approach has to be done with Ubuntu. And what do you think about that?
So Ubuntu is at the heart of like everything that I do. Period.
Hallelujah. Hallelujah.
and so with that I think that the important thing is so much of this is culture and values driven. So Ubuntu as a way of thinking or way of being is not something that comes easily to or naturally to the colonized mind. And even those of us who think that we're the staunchest, most revolutionary African centered people, we have colonized minds, and the colonization of the black mind isn't limited to the diaspora.
Absolutely. And I used to be on the show with one of my good buddies, College Genesis, and he always talks about an
So
Afristan.
two, we
And
want two
I
of
didn't have
those.
a problem with with him thinking about an Afristan. I used to be a co-host on the show. But my whole thing is when I discovered Ubuntu, a lot of people laughed at me and they didn't understand. But when we come from these various different cultures, okay, African cultures, Caribbean cultures, we have to have a way that we can work with each other as a structure. And because of our colonialized mind, that's a difficult thing. And the example that happened,
So can
okay,
you
in
scan him before he
Liberia.
gets the total?
Okay, oh, I'm sorry. I don't know if you was talking to me or the other individual, but to avoid problems and situations that occurred in places like Liberia, when the mindset of the intent was good, but the mindset and the colonialized mind, okay, was definitely going to be on a collision course, okay, with the other cultures, because we're coming out of the West thinking of with this Western European style of thinking. Uh, we're going to see everything else as being savage and so on and so forth. And so to respect other people's culture, we need to use Ubuntu. And I wanted to ask you a question. I just made that statement. What do you feel about these? I don't have a Disney. I don't have that kind of budget, but I use AI to create shorts and films about us. What do you think about that type of futurism?
You know what? I think it's important, and I think it has value. I'm not sure if you're familiar with Tim Fielder. Hi, John the Conqueror is a series that he does.
No, I'm not. I'll check it out.
Okay.
I would hope that you one day get a chance and an opportunity to go and check out my channel, which is the African Ubuntu Network, because one of the things that I want to accomplish in terms of futurism is, one, a network, and two, the blockchain. Because a lot of people are saying when they go to Africa, we can't trust each other. We're having all types of problems when it comes to buying and being scammed. But if you put things on the blockchain, it's transparent, right? And so you can
So
see, yes, ma'am. Mhm.
So, I mean, I understand what you're saying. I believe in blockchain. I think it's a great technology. I know Afropolitan was looking at cryptocurrency. At the end of the day, though, it's still going to boil down to us learning how to trust each other. And that's why I do like, yes, there is a sense of urgency, and we should have been building like 100 years ago. But the other part of that, we've got to remember who we are. How,
Absolutely.
because we've forgotten who we are, and we've forgotten why we're doing these things, and we've forgotten like what's important.
Well, I'm glad because I came in here to hear about it because it's something that has consumed my life that I'm very much interested in, the technology, the futurism, and actually the self-actualization of us seeing ourselves in power situations. Not just in power in terms of lording over people, but to see us in every facet of humanity. And Ubuntu is basically teaching us how to be human. And someone said in the chat that it wasn't indigenous to Africa. They're absolutely wrong. It is completely indigenous to Africa. That's all I want to say. Thank you, Doctor.
All right. Well, any other questions with Africa? Go ahead, and then we'll start closing out.
No, I agree to the brother's point when he mentioned Liberia earlier. That was my point also. Because sometimes we need a general mindset. And it's like something with basically the colonized mindsets, because some of us do have this colonized mindsets, and that can be really problematic. But I think in the long run, it's something that can be solved also. You know, it's a solution based initiative, and I think it's a great one. That's all I got to say. Thank you very much for being up here, and thank you very much, Dinus. I appreciate everything that you do. Thank you.
Oh, no problem. Everyone, thanks so much for joining. Like, share, subscribe. Until next time, family. Dr. She dropped off. Until next time, family. Dinus Amir, search for her peace.